I recently shared my 7 favourite craft beer bars in Saigon, and then I decided to put my money where my mouth is because a few people suggested it, and we're actually doing a craft beer crawl today. I can't believe this amount of people came out. We are very top heavy in bearded men.
Vietnam's a massive beer drinking country. It's been an evolution to get locals to switch over to craft beer. We're doing a fucking pub crawl on a Saturday in Saigon. I try to inspire people, that's all.
Doing a fantastic job.
Thanks, man.
I'm finally recording. I had to go home to get the SD card because I was that prepared. That's what happens when you stay out till 4:30 in the morning watching Scotland get absolutely gubbed by Germany 5-1. Welcome to another episode of a Vietnam podcast. This is a very, very different type of episode that we're doing. I recently shared my 7 favourite craft beer bars in Saigon, and then I decided to put my money where my mouth is because a few people suggested it, and we're actually doing a craft beer crawl today of the 7 places that I suggested. So we're starting here in Two Guys Belgian Fries in Thanh My Loi. I can't believe this amount of people came out. So we have with us Jack, Misha, Tucker, Adri, Tao, and Seamus. I thought it was just going to be me and Adri, so this is actually awesome. And it's not a complete sausage fest, which is pretty incredible as well. We have 2 females with us, so that's amazing. But we are very top heavy in bearded men. There's a lot of beards here, which is normal for craft beer as well. And I'm not going to lie, if I could grow a beard, I would probably have one as well. What about you, Jack?
I'm not rocking the beard, but, I'm enjoying the beers, having a good time. Looking forward to all the stops today.
If you could grow a beard, would you grow one?
Tough question. I'm going to go with yes.
A little bit tired, a little bit hungover. But we're getting started on the blondes, which is what I suggested. Then we got some Duvels. We're going to be recording throughout the day. I'm going to hand over to Jack and Misha, and you guys can tell us what your thoughts are on the day and the craft beer scene in Saigon.
It's an interesting time for the craft beer industry in Vietnam. Obviously, coming out of lockdown, things are pretty tough all over for everyone. We're still feeling the effects, frankly.
But
it's nice
sounds like East-West, you guys are opening a new production facility?
Well, that's it. A lot of breweries are full steam ahead. Let's go. Let's keep building.
Hell yeah.
Obviously, pour one out for Fur Brew. I think they were the first big closure, unfortunately. Unfortunately, because Thomas Bilgrim's a lovely guy, and he was an asset to the community. But if that was the best decision for them to close down, and he's obviously moved back to Denmark now, and I still see him on social media with a great big smile on his face. So, I hope he's happy, and I hope we don't have too many more breweries closing down. It was obviously, I think everyone in the industry would agree that pre-COVID, it was getting a little bloated. There was way too many local breweries for a country of this size, and frankly and sadly, I'm surprised that more breweries haven't closed already.
It's not as much a country of this size as much as the market that doesn't exist here yet.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Obviously, those of us who live here know that Vietnam is a massive beer drinking country. Like per capita, I think it's top 10 still.
Yep.
I always bring this up. In Korea they drink soju, in China they drink baijiu, in Vietnam they drink beer. They have local rice wines here, but it's a beer drinking culture and community.
For sure.
But yeah, obviously craft beer is more expensive. It's on the higher end, so it's been an evolution to get locals to switch over to craft beer. But it is also heartening to go to a lot of local craft breweries and seeing how many Vietnamese customers they have. It's not just tourists and expats anymore.
Yep.
So the market is returning to a good level, and that's even without tourism really coming back yet. So I think all of us are bullish that this thing's still going to go really well, but obviously having a more robust tourist economy, which Vietnam has historically been very dependent on, will go a long way towards buoying the success of a lot of local craft breweries.
Yep, fair enough. think.
But yeah, sorry, I feel like I've been I'm a little analytical and methodical. Let's have some fun. We're doing a fucking pub crawl on a Saturday in Saigon. Starting out here in Thanh My Loi because this is the closest place to where Niall lives. But we're going to D1 soon. We got a lot of great stops planned. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the day. I can't wait to see how this podcast is going 4 stops from now.
Absolutely. I think I might go ahead and take this opportunity to order another 10% acid triple hop duvel.
Yes!
Thanks for the inspiration, Nisha.
I try to inspire people. That's all. That's I feel
doing
like,
a fantastic job.
Thanks, man. I feel like at the end of the day, that's the biggest part of my job, is to inspire people to drink more craft beer.
So we're finishing up at stop number 1. I don't know if I actually explained all the places that we're going to go to in the beginning. So we're going to go to, we're starting off at Two Guys Belgian Fries, and I could hear Misha dissing my choices. It was absolutely because I live around the corner from it. They do have craft beer. I can't remember who makes it. They have their own blonde and their own black, and we come here pretty often. It's a pretty nice view on the canal. As lots of people like to call it a river, but it is a canal. We're going to go from here to Mixtape because I get a free beer every time I go there because I want free beer for a year. The beer is also good as well. Then we're going to go around the corner to Brick and Barrel. We're going to get one of those buggies, and we're going to go to Pasteur Street on, and I can never remember, is it Le Tanton or Le Toutrong? Le Toutrong. And then we're going to go down to Heart of Darkness. Hopefully they'll give us some free water, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's not just Heart of Darkness. I give them shit for it, but I don't even think you get free water here. I'm not sure. Then we're going to go to Seven Bridges on Hai Bai Trung, and then we're going to finish at Malt. That is the plan. But as I mentioned, we have a lot of beards here today, but I want to hear from the ladies. So we have 2 ladies with us right now. We have Adri and Tao. So I'm going to pass it over to these 2.
Tao, what did you think about the fries that you had, the loaded fries?
Food is so good, and the beer is also so tasty. The people here is so friendly, it's so interesting to talk with everyone.
Tell us about when you arrived. You were bullied into drinking.
What I drank? You mean?
Yeah, you were bullied into drinking a beer because you were drinking coffee before.
I'm so Vietnamese, to be honest. So when I come here, I order coffee, and the people like here were dissing at me, so I ordered the beer. So they say the book roar started.
Those people were Misha and Alex, I presume.
Yeah.
And did Jack also bully you, or was it mainly Misha?
All of them.
Oh, all of them. Okay, of course. They all bullied her into ordering a beer. What beer did you have?
This is like a raspberry beer. Yeah, this is not very strong. It's suitable for women.
Would you order it again?
I think I'm gonna order again.
And what do you think about this area?
This area is so interesting. It's very greenery, and it has a river. It's very windy and very cool, and it's just like very vibrant. Lots of businesses around. Yeah.
Would you recommend people that live far away from Thanh My Loi to come visit us more
I
often?
think they should. They should move here, to be honest. It's a very good place. This is so good place to move to this place. Like, as a foreigner, I think, yeah, you should move here. It's like, I think this is a little bit far away from the center, but this is so good to stay here.
Then you don't have to move. You can just come visit us, come out here, have some fries and beers, and we try to tell our friends to come to Thanh My Loi more often, but they're like, oh, it's so far away. It's not really far, right? And it's worth the effort, I think. Take it from Tao, because she's a tour guide.
I think you should come here to visit, also to hang out around. This is also a very good area. So it takes around only 15 minutes to go here. Yeah, so I'm gonna come back, I think.
Yeah. We'll make it the new Tao Dinh. You don't have to go to Tao Dinh where it's too busy with people.
No need Thảo Điền, no need An Phú, no need District 7. No need Thanh My Loi.
You heard it here first.
We're gonna go to the next place. Yeah, and we're gonna show you more beers, also the experiences of that place. Woo!
All right, we're getting the bills here. We're moving on. I'm on drink number 2. I've got Seamus with me here from Seven Bridges, which was one of my recommended bars. Started out in Da Nang, and it's called Seven Bridges. You can explain the name and the background of Seven Bridges and how it got to Saigon.
Seven Bridges Brewing Company, the name came from one of our investors who was making a presentation to Da Nang government and said, oh, blah, 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 Da Nang, the home of Seven Bridges. Our founder CEO kind of looked up and went, that's not right, there's more than Seven Bridges in Da Nang. However, it's a great name for a company. And that's how the name of Seven Bridges came to happen. In terms of how we came to Saigon, we opened in taproom in Da Nang in 2017. 2019 we opened a location in Hanoi. 2020 we opened in An Bang and Hoi An, which is no longer there. And then in 21 we opened our first location in Le Tan Ton, just as the fourth wave of COVID broke out. So instead of opening in July, we opened in December. We've had that for about coming up to 2 years, and then we opened up our second location, which is on Dong Zu in Saigon, so about a couple of 100 meters from where we currently are, and yeah, that's it.
Now you can tell you speak Northern Vietnamese because you said Dong Zu, and I would call it Dong Yu.
I used to live in Quang Binh province for 7 years, where I've learnt my Vietnamese, so I speak a very terrible dialect of Hue Vietnamese that very few Vietnamese can understand. However, the same bunch of foreigners that speak this terrible dialect of Vietnamese that I speak understand me perfectly.
Now, I love, how many bridges are there then in Da Nang?
Major bridges, 11, maybe 12.
So, I didn't realize this. Seven Bridges, I thought called Seven Bridges because of Seven Bridges in Da Nang. There's actually like 11. Well, and then, and then their name is 7 million bikes, which I've been telling people for years. I read this article where there was 7.4 million motorbikes at the time, and then I found it. Well, it was 7.3 million at the time, so it was a little bit off. But the thing from the beginning people said to me was, oh, what happens when there's 8 million bikes? Are you going to change the name? And I was like, no, the name is set. It's not going to change every year.
A Tribe Called Quest had a song, 8 Million Stories, about 8 million stories of people that lived in New York City, and then New York City got bigger and kind of evolved to like 9 million people, and but they're not gonna change that. It's 8 million stories. That's how it is. That's like,
Dan, you're not going to rebrand to 11 Bridges, are you?
No, the name will stick. Seven is a lucky number in Vietnamese culture as well. Things will change. Things will evolve. The name stays the same.
All right, we're going to pay our bills here. We're going to move on to our second location. We will see you soon. Cheers.
Biscuits. What is in your bag?
Most importantly, she has snacks. Okay, we should give her one because that would be mean not to. She has a collar for later when her backpack gets too heavy. She's got a poo bag for when she does number 2. And the other thing that's not currently in the bag, but it's on the floor, is a water bowl so that she can get water at each of the bar stops. So I told her today if she's going to be the mascot, she's got to bring all her own things. She needs to be self-sufficient. And she said, okay, Mom, I'm coming. And if you go back to season 1, you'll hear this one snoring in the background.
We are in our second bar out of 7 today. We are in Mixtape Drinks. I know there's no head on this. It's because it's been sitting out for a while. I haven't had a drink yet. This is the Peaches and Cream, which is my favorite. It's an IPA. Cheers. We're in aircon now, so it's a bit cooler. We're surviving. Tao, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's all good.
Tao, she said she's doing well, but she's not doing that well because she forgot her iPad in the last bar and we had to bring it with us.
You see? I just brought it because it's so absent-minded.
She's not even drinking and she forgot her iPad, so I'm scared to think what will happen when she starts drinking. We've got a new member with the group now, and Tao looked at him, and probably because he looks like every other white guy, because I've realized all white guys look the same. And she's like, he's new, right? And she's like, yeah, he's new. So Ollie, welcome. Ollie. Welcome to the pub crawl. Thank you for joining us, and Chad as well, owner here at Mixtape.
So, Neil, the only problem with some of the people that we've invited today is that the last stop, our good friend Alex Tucker, He's very camera shy. And I've been asking Ollie to do a beer review for the last 12 years, and he refuses every time. So I don't know if we're going to get anything out of him for the podcast. But yeah, you set it up. We're at stop number 2, Mixtape Brewing, District 1, Saigon. Founder, owner, operator Chad Mitchell has joined. We've all got Mixtape beers except for me. I've got the Misha, which is a chocolate Negroni. If a bar names a drink after you, I feel it's incumbent upon you to try it when you get to the bar. Cheers, guys. Mop hai ba? Hai ba? Hai ba? Hey, Ollie, do you wanna jump on the podcast? Say hello, plug your shit. It's a hard no. So basically, the premise is that we're doing a pub crawl of Niall's favorite craft beer bars in Saigon. He did a pod about the bars, and now we're doing a follow-up pod, actually visiting all the bars in one day. We're going to get to all of them, don't worry. We believe in ourselves. Some people are coming for one stop. Some people are going to be on board for all 7. And if you're really lucky, I've got a surprise 8th stop planned.
I wonder what that could be.
I haven't told anyone about it yet.
So we're in the second bar still in Mixtape Drinks. I'm here with Tao. So I make a podcast called Vietnam is Awesome as well. I work with Vietnam is Awesome team, and Tao now works with them as well. So where did we meet last week, and what did we do?
3 weeks ago, we met in Chinatown. It is like in the Chinese market. We discovered the places and the temples. Also tried the Chinese food. Yeah, it was a great time together.
And what is it that you do generally? You have your own business here?
Yeah, I have like a travel agent in Saigon. This is around 2 years old. But before that, I still worked in the tourism before. This is totally around 9 years in tourism.
Nice. And I don't think you know this yet, but I'm going to have you on as a guest on season 11. We're doing season 10 right now, which is incredible. We started in 2019, just in my front room with Biscuit, and now we have a studio and we record wherever we are with all this equipment that we have, which is pretty cool. But I'm definitely going to have you on in season 11. But I have an important question to ask you right now. What does it feel like to be surrounded by so many white guys with beards?
A little bit interesting because this is like the first time having beers with lots of white people. And this is like very different from Vietnamese cultures. For us, we drink lots of beers at the same time. For example, 1 hour we drink about 10 beers. But in your culture, it's like 1 hour you drink only 1 beer and then you chit-chat. It's so different. Yeah.
So, been here obviously quite a while. And I've been asked a few times by Vietnamese guys, they say, so how many beers can you drink? And I always got confused by that question. I'd be like, because I never really count that much, And like you said, we would go to a festival or we do a pub crawl where you drink like all day. So I'd be like, I don't know, like 10 beers? And they'd be like, oh my God, 10 beers? So many. And I'd be like, is that a lot? But I didn't realize even until recently that when they're asking how many beers can you drink, they mean within like 1 or 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
They don't mean like how many do you drink in 12 hours, because Vietnamese culture is so different. Whereas so when I spoke to Tal last week and I said, come to this pub crawl that we're doing based on the podcast and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, your culture is so different to ours because we would never do it. And it would be very unusual for a Vietnamese person to be like, let's go to all these Niall bars. We're going to have 1 beer in every Niall bar and go down the whole of Wang Sa and try and get from one end of Wang Sa to the other.
Yeah.
Whereas in the British culture or Western culture, we're like, let's try and drink as much as we can over a distance, and we've got to keep moving, and we've got to do it in different places. So how's the experience going so far?
I really like your idea now because I heard a lot from Scottish guests. Our Scottish guests told us about pub crawl in their culture. This is like the whole street, and they gonna move from this bar to another bars. But in Vietnam, it's like the streets are very far away and the bars quite far away. So we need to move to this place to another place by taxi. This quite very cool idea to do this. Yeah.
Well, so we're going to finish up our drinks here at Mixtapes, and we're going to move on to bar number 3, which is Brick and Barrel. So we'll check in with you there. Thank you very much, Tao.
Thank you for having us. So great.
We've kind of lost some people, gained some people. We've picked up a Lopez sister. We got another Lopez sister, my wife, right behind the camera. Thank you very much, Adri, for doing the camera. And then I got Chad Mitchell with me. We've lost Misha right now, but we've lost Tao somewhere. We still got Seamus is here. Jack somewhere. They're all going to show up. Don't worry. We're going to pick up more. And and Ollie's here as well, obviously. So we're in stop only number 3. We're at Brick and Barrel. And thanks to Ollie, I have the Steelsman Dark Horse, which is a brown ale, which you don't really get many brown ales in Vietnam at all. And I only know about this beer because we interviewed Wayne on Beer Stories with Misha back in the day. So I'm quite excited for the brown ale. And then what do you have?
Overmorrow Sunset from Hanoi. It's a farmhouse ale with grisette.
What is it? I mean, so I like my craft beer, but I've talked about this with Misha before. What did I say to him? I'm a craft beer fan, but not a craft beer snob. So I don't actually know what does a farmhouse ale mean?
It's an older style of ale from Belgium, or France, Belgium, whatever region. It's just seasonal, like a Saigon, but the farmhouse is like using traditional local ingredients. So it's got peppercorn in this one, and it's just like, farmhouse, but using Belgian yeast. Yeah.
It's 5%. It's a Saison, not normally stronger than 5%. Mine's 5.5%.
Yeah. 5%. Nice and light, easy. And by the way, this is a French strain of yeast, by the way. And, close enough to Belgium, but yes.
It's a what?
French strain of yeast.
Again, a beer fan, not a beer snob. What the does a French strain of yeast mean?
The yeast originated in France.
There you go. The yeast originated in France. Well, cheers.
I'm a beer snob, but I'm also a beer fan. And I'm kind of leaning more towards the beer fan these days and just enjoying it again, Cheers.
That is delicious. This reminds me of Australia. This taste of Australia to me, because I think Cooper's have a brown ale.
Okay. Yeah, Cooper's does, I think, too. And lots of brown ales, like back in the late 90s and stuff. I think there's a lot of brown ales in the craft beer scene, especially in the beginning. Sorry, my voice is a little gone today because I've been talking so much lately. I know I talk a lot, but I've been talking especially a lot.
Don't worry, it sounds sexy. So the question I have for you, so we were in Mixtape. We didn't get a chance to talk because you were at the other end of the table. Mixtape, by the name, is obviously based on music.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit. I mentioned it when I did my review of my 7 favorite craft beer places. Talked about Mixtape, and I think so. I'm like a really bad podcaster. I think even on the podcast, I was like, I really should review this stuff before, but I don't really have time or the energy to actually review stuff or research stuff before I do a podcast, and I just kind of talk off the top of my head, and sometimes I talk absolute nonsense, and it's normally Adri, my beautiful wife there, who then listens to it and goes, you were talking absolute rubbish. Yeah. Most people don't know I'm talking rubbish, but she knows I'm talking rubbish. She's like, that didn't happen that way. This didn't happen. We didn't do that. But nobody else knows that. But going back to my point, talking about Mixtape, obviously very based on music, which I love. In terms of the titles and even the strength of the alcohol. So you have the new one, which is a hazy drink, and I think it's like 6.777. So tell us a little bit about where you get the names from, the style, the percentages of the beer. How does that all tie in?
Well, I grew up in Northern California in a town called Santa Rosa, where Russian River got started, which is like one of the world's most famous breweries now. And I was really a groupie. I hung out with a lot of friends' bands. I pretended I was in the scene, pretended to play a guitar and just looked the part. Total poser. But we always would go to like craft beer bars like Lagunitas as well, and they would always it was always very intertwined for me because I didn't really like beer at all. But we'd always go to craft breweries because they would support the local music scene. So it just the two things are very close to my heart, and I care more about music. I used to write for music events and stuff in San Francisco. And so it was like, okay, I love music, but I'm kind of a groupie. I now love craft beer, and I'm also kind of a groupie. I learned how to become a brewer. I'm a decent brewer, but still not my background's in tech actually for work. So anyways, put the two together. I was like, you know what? I love both these things so much, and this is my homage to it. And the best way I can share, back in the day, you shared your love of music by giving a mixtape to somebody. So that was the goal. This is my sharing my art, my love of both things. But yeah, so all the beers.
Jump into something I want to share with you though. They're talking about the Mixtape. Mm-hmm. So there was a podcast about a year ago that did a limited release of their podcast only on a mixtape, and it kind of blew up. It went viral. It was like this really cool thing that they did only for a select group of fans. They only made 100 mixtapes. Yeah. The only way you could listen to that episode was, and I wouldn't even know how you would play a cassette these days.
Well, that's the weird thing about last about 6-7 years ago, I went home to the States, and everybody I knew was getting cassette decks put in their cars again. I'm like, why? Because they're on the music scene, because all the bands now, like, you go to their show, and like, this album can only listen to on cassette, and they would release it only on cassette. It became a really trendy thing. It's actually still continuing to grow, very extremely, totally Northern California. So anyways, but with Mixtape is like, also like the cassettes were getting popular. Everyone had asked me when I launched it here, they said, is anyone going to know what a mixtape is? And I said, does it matter? Like, it's just a brand name, but also if they do know, that'll be even cooler. Misha's arrived.
Misha's back. Guess who's back?
Oh, don't sing Backstreet Boys to Misha, please.
So here we are. I think we've already set the stage. This is stop 3 on the pub crawl. We're at Brick and Barrel, 171 Calumet Street. We're upstairs in the back room. By the time you hear this, Brick and Barrel might not exist anymore at this location. They're looking for a new one, which makes me a little sad. Nostalgia is my second worst vice after alcoholism. And I've had a lot of good memories of this place. I'm going to miss it. I'm sad to see it go. But here we are. This is a proper craft beer bar. They do awesome burgers, pizzas, chicken wings, good craft beer selection. Not as many as they used to. They cut out some of the dead weight. No shade at any big beer company that's recently taken over distribution for a local craft beer company that used to be awesome. None whatsoever. Just roll call. We still have most of the same crew, depending on how much gets cut. We also have an extra Lopez sister, which we're all really excited about. And Seamus Goff from Seven Bridges is still here. And this has become a bit of a Seven Bridges stronghold here at Brick and Barrel. I have a roadie that I'm finishing up. And once I finish that, I'm going to get the High Van Hayes IPA from Seven Bridges. I think everyone in the industry who doesn't work at Seven Bridges, that's their favorite Seven Bridges beer. Nice, big, hoppy, hazy beer. You can't go wrong. Here we are. Ollie's back behind the bar where he belongs. Felt really weird to have him sitting at a table with us, trying to be a customer. It's not his normal state of being. We'll be back on soon.
We're now on the Saigon.pt, which is like buggy. We're now doing a half an hour sightseeing tour around Saigon. We're waiting on the others. If they don't hurry up, we're gonna fucking leave without them. We've done 3 bars. How many drinks have we done? We've done about probably 2 each, so we're probably up to about 6 drinks by now. So this podcast is probably gonna get interesting. I'm on the Seven Bridges. Thank you, Seamus. I'm on the Seven Bridges Dragon IPA. It's only 4.8%, so in my mind it's going to sober me up because it's less than 5%. Anything less than 5% sobers you up. We're in a buggy for 6, and we have 8 people in here and a biscuit. So that's 9 people if you include biscuit. We're about to go on a sightseeing tour around Saigon.
We're going to try. Snatch. The podcast continues on. Some guys just driving.
You want me to put a strap on?
Wow, yeah, that's what I heard that. I heard that same thing.
As well, right? Oh my god.
I don't smile. It gives green balls. Okay.
I'm here with Dave Tinnen. This is number 4 out of 7. We are now in Pasteur Street on Li Tu Trong, which I get very confused between Li Tan Ton and Li Tu Trong.
We're right by Ben Thanh Market.
We're right by Ben Thanh Market.
It's a great location.
And Dave is a craft beer aficionado, I would say. Tell us a bit about yourself, Dave.
I like beer.
You sound like Brett Kavanaugh.
I drank beer with my friends. Almost everyone did. Sometimes I had too many beers. Sometimes others did. I liked beer. I still like beer. But I did not drink beer to the point of blacking out.
Kavanaugh.
Oh, God. No.
I like beer. I like beer.
Vibe I'm going for. That's not the vibe I'm going for. I've worked in the food and beverage industry for a long time. I used to work at Beercraft. Currently, I'm helping Pizza 4Ps streamline their beverage operations. Yeah.
Tell us something more sexy than streamline their beverage operations.
Nah, that's the job. That's it. There's nothing sexy about it. But I really enjoy it, trying to help the operation elevate the whole thing, you know?
So we're going to 7 craft beer bars today that I spoke about on the podcast. And I'm going to do another one about more craft beer bars because I didn't cover them all. So the 7 were Two Guys Belgian Fries in Thanh My Loi because it's my local. Then we went to Mixtape. Then we went to Brick and Barrel. Now we're at Pasteur Street. We're then going to do Heart of Darkness, Seven Bridges, and then we're going to finish at Malt. What do you think? Tell us about craft beer in Saigon, because I talked about how for me we got here 8 years ago and it was just blossoming, and then it kind of like grew really quickly and then plateaued, and it's not really grown from there. But I don't think it's so different. Like, we lived in Wellington in New Zealand and it was really similar. There was this like massive spike in craft beer bars and then it just plateaued and there was not much more. What do you think about craft beer in Saigon or in Vietnam?
I mean, I was kind of here right, not at the very beginning, but at the beginning of the so-called boom, I guess.
Yeah.
I helped the Beercraft guys start their flagship bar. We started out with 30 taps only, and then upgrade only. Well, we upgrade after a few months. We upgraded to 50, and I was in charge. I've helped Mark and Tim do that whole thing.
Well, we talked about before with Misha when he was first here. Like, when he found Heineken on draft, it was a godsend. It was like, oh my god, Heineken on draft. So you're being like almost, I don't mean this rudely, you're being like dismissive, like, oh, we had 30 or 50 beers, but that shows how incredible the beer scene is, and was and is in Saigon and in Vietnam, that you had 30 taps, then went to 50 taps, all Vietnam beers.
And we were having trouble, keeping it fair for everyone, trying to make sure that everyone was equally represented. It wasn't a problem to fill the 50 taps. It was a problem to make sure that it was fairly filled, And that I went from being bar manager there to being basically the beverage manager of the whole restaurant group. And that's now kind of what I'm doing for Pizza 4Ps, but a little bit more. I mean, it's not just about alcohol at 4Ps. It's about the whole. We do a lot of fruit juice. We do like our own kombucha, stuff like that.
Well, it's something we do need to do a future episode and talk about Pizza 4Ps, because it's Japanese pizza in Vietnam, now worldwide.
I don't know if I would be the best person to represent the company on that one, just because I've only been with them for a little over a year.
I could talk about it all by myself.
Sure.
Good. But who wants a pizza episode? Adri says pizza.
I love it.
I did ask a question before you arrived.
Yeah.
If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I like probably Italian food, because that's what I grew up eating. My mom is
But one specific food. So for me, it would be pizza. Like breakfast, lunch, dinner. I could eat pizza. I know it's not the healthiest, but I could eat it all day, every day.
Yeah.
One dish. If you could only eat one dish for the rest of your life, what would it be?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I ate pizza every day even like when I was working fully in operations at 4Ps, I was eating pizza every day, and I got sick of it. I don't know. Does beer count as a food?
If you wanted to. I remember I asked this question at Adri's 40th last year, and everybody was like, I asked everyone else, if Adri could only eat one food, what would it be? And most people are like, oh, she'd say salad. And then she's like, no, definitely burritos.
Burritos would be a good shout, because you got your breakfast burritos, then you could do like a spicy chicken burrito for lunch, and then like you could do a vegetarian burrito. Yeah. Burritos are a really good shout. Actually, you know what? I'd take it back. I would not even say burritos. I would say tacos. Because that's fair. I spent a little bit of time in Mexico City and in Cozumel, and I think I ate tacos like twice a day while I was living there. So tacos would probably be my go-to.
Nice. All right, sweet. All right, Dave, thank you so much for being on this special episode of the Vietnam podcast.
Thanks for having me on your
Where are you off to now?
I'm going to the cocktail fest with Erica. So, and actually, I've got a call coming in from work, so I've got to take that.
Well, there you go. All right, take it easy. Thank you. We're now going to hand over to Misha Smith. I was hanging out with Misha on Monday night. We hang out quite often, and one of the proudest moments of my life was when I was very, very drunk. I'd had quite a few cocktails, and Misha was like, "Man, you don't look drunk at all." That to me is one of the proudest moments of my life.
Yeah, you mentioned how drunk you were, and I honestly said to you that you seemed like you were holding it together pretty well. You didn't come off as like crazy drunk, for sure. Like, I mean, you'd obviously had a few drinks. The only thing that tipped you off about how drunk you were is how often you interrupted me in the flow of the conversation. But other than that, like you weren't like slurring your words. We were having a conversation. It was fine.
I'm a pretty good drunk, but we'll test that tonight though, because we're only on stop 4 of 7. What's been your favourite beers so far on our Ho Chi Minh beer crawl?
We're here at my old stomping grounds, Pasteur Street Brewing Company, Little Trong, and I'm having a Pomelo IPA, and that was always my favorite beer when I worked at Pasteur Street, and it's still one of my favorite beers in Vietnam and in my life.
Not Jasmine IPA, because Pomelo is probably my favourite, I've told you before, but I always thought Jasmine was like your...
No, the Jasmine was the workhorse. That's the one that was by far our best-selling flagship beer. But for me personally, the Pomelo IPA was always my favorite. I love I've had like grapefruit and Pomelo IPAs from other breweries.
Yeah.
Just the way the citrus from the grapefruit plays with the hops. It's just chef's kiss. Yeah, it's so good.
Well, I've told you this before. I think my favourite Pasteur Street beer of all time, which they never make anymore, is the Mango Lager. Or not the Mango Lager, the Mango IPA. And why don't they make that?
Mangoes are very expensive.
You mangoes. You. Be less expensive, and then I could enjoy your delicious beer.
Yeah. No, whenever we used to make a mango beer, it was like, oh, this tastes delicious. And then we cost it out. It's like, oh shit, we have to charge a lot for this just to make any money on it at all. So it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah.
It has to make money. It has to make sense. Like, everyone wants to innovate and be creative and do different things, but you can't take a loss on a beer because it's a company and you have bosses and shareholders and CFOs. Shout out to Man Tang.
And I can't believe we're only at bar number 4. What's number 5?
Next is down the street, same street, Little Trom, Heart of Darkness Brewing Company.
All right, we'll see you at Heart of Darkness.
And I feel like that's kind of like 4. We're only just over half done. But I feel like once we bank 5, then it's kind of a no-brainer to like only 2 more after that. We got it. So yeah, the next one is the key is not the right. It's Heart of Darkness is the hinge of this pub crawl, and once we pass through the hinge, then it's kind of smooth sailing from there on out. In my professional, personal opinion.
I'm looking forward to getting to Malt. It's one of my favourite bars, as I talked about on the original podcast. It's the OG craft beer bar for me.
Yeah, so let's talk about that more when we get there. But yeah,
when we get there.
Obviously, Malt was one of my. It still is one of my favorite bars. I don't go nearly as often as I used to. But yeah, no. When I used to fly back into Saigon, I used to go from the airport straight to Malt, and it was like, you always go back to the one you love, like, you know, home sweet home. Like there's a lot of reasons I love that bar. Let's save that for when we get there and really dig into that, because it's a special place in Saigon, and I am kind of sad that I don't go there as often as I used to, but obviously that's my own choice.
I was there last year for their birthday party, which I think I said on the podcast I thought was their 10th birthday party, but I may be wrong because you think it's not been open for 10 years. Maybe it was their 8th birthday party, but I know I was there for their birthday party. AJ was busy that night, so I was by myself. And I got chatting to these 2 tourists who were from Switzerland, and it just was the best experience because they were loving it and they didn't know anything about it. And I was like, oh yeah, no, this place has been here for so long, has so many different beers from all over Vietnam. Like, this is a cool place, and it was cool to be able to chat to tourists about it as well.
They were like kind of pioneers of being a craft beer bar that didn't make their own beers. Like they opened to serve Vietnamese craft beers from other breweries and just be a bar. And
So let's finish our free water, because it's free water here at Pasteur, which as it should be at every single bar that sells alcohol, you should have free water. And then we're going to finish our beers, and then we're going to head off to Heart of Darkness. Sounds pretty good. All right, let's go.
just to sign off here, in the immortal words of Tom Brady, let's fucking go.
We are at bar number 5. We are in the thick of it. As Misha said, we are at the Hinge bar. We are number 5, the Heart of Darkness. If we can survive this bar, we can survive anything. Now, I did criticize this bar on my podcast because they didn't give free water. And our good friend Seamus here has pushed back and asked for some glasses of water. The initial feedback, the initial request back was we sell bottles of water. But then Seamus very politely said to them, oh, we were here the other day and we've just shown up. So they do give free glasses of water. So I have to take back everything I said about Heart of Darkness. They do give free water. It looks very small, but it's free. And that is responsible. So I take back what I said. I was very harsh. I said it was immoral, which it is immoral if you don't give free water, but they do give water. So that is amazing. So cheers, everybody. And we are at that stage of the night where we need water. Malt, hi, bye, yo. That was the lamest Malt, hi, bye, yo ever. I'm on the, Adri, what am I on? The Some Sorcerer Hazy IPA. Misha, you're going to tell us what you're on, pass it around. What's everyone drinking right now?
So I went with one of the newer modern classics from HOD, not the Dream Alone Pale Ale, but the Dream Sensations Hazy Pale Ale. Very good beer. Nice hazy pale ale. Super hoppy. Can't go wrong if you're a craft beer nerd. Not much else to say about that. I just crushed a couple of sliders as well. They're both very good. Shout out to Michael Rose in the kitchen.
I am consuming the Pink Pajamas strawberry and Phu Quoc pepper sour.
Me too.
Cheers. Very different colours. Very, very different colours.
Hold on a minute. Are we drinking the same thing?
Can I borrow your glass? That's definitely not it.
Mine tastes like a sour. I don't know about yours.
Yeah, I think I might have to go back and check on this one. Remember, if you come to Heart of Darkness, to politely ask the staff for free water. Politely.
I'm drinking Pink Pajamas.
I'm drinking the River IPA. It's quite smooth, quite nice, a little bit hoppy, could be better, could be worse. That's all I have to say. Oh, hello, baby. There you go. Back to Neil.
So I take back everything I said about Heart of Darkness. They're giving us free water. One of the things I mentioned about was the price. It is a little bit more expensive. One of the beers, I think, not all of them, but they vary in price. One of the beers I saw was 175,000 dong for a pint, which in Saigon is quite expensive. I just did the maths. It works out to about 11 Australian dollars for a pint, which when I was in Australia recently, you would expect to pay about $14 a pint, so it's still cheaper. So it's expensive for Saigon, but I do think that Heart of Darkness is probably the best beer in Saigon. But that would be controversial. It's a cool place to hang out. It's dark. I don't know if everyone likes that. What do you guys think of like the aesthetic of the place? Like, I think it's cool and it's dark and it's dingy, but it's not something I would come back to often.
Dingy's negative.
Not dingy, sorry, not dingy. Dark. Dark is what I meant.
Yeah, it's called Heart of Darkness. I think it's on brand.
But I think it's everything like around afternoon, like it's always like that dusk area where it's even too bright or too dark. Like it's like then find the dimmer switch and then it's nice now. One of those, you know?
Yeah, we were at At the cocktail festival last night, I felt like suddenly the lights got a lot brighter after they closed. I'm like, oh, I know this move. They want us all to leave. And it wasn't like it was a cocktail festival, so it wasn't like dark throughout. But I did notice at some point it's like, oh, it's a lot brighter now, and everything's closing down, and they want us to get the fuck out of here. So, yeah, no, I mean that's a bar move.
And so Heart of Darkness has been here. I've been here 8 years. I think it's been here about 6 years. Is that right? 5, 6 years? Anyone? How long's Heart of Darkness been here? So 8 years? Shit. All right. So maybe been here nearly 8 years since we got here. It's definitely one of my favorite bars. It's a cool place. It's definitely tourist prices, I think.
I think we have to do the comparison as well. Like it's like, is it too pricey? It's like, is it 330 mils? Is it 350? Is it 370? Like, is it pint size? Is 580 mils? Like actual size of the pint and the price of the beer. Like that's what's missing with most of the places.
So I'm showing myself up here to be someone who's cheap and Scottish and an alcoholic, but I do that maths. Like I'll be like, okay, how much is it per 100 mil or per 500 mil, whatever it is, because it can be confusing because every bar has like different sizes and different prices. So sometimes you'll be like, oh, that's quite cheap, or you'll be like, oh, that's quite expensive. But then you do it by size and you'll be like, oh, that's quite reasonable. So as I just you didn't hear me, I was just saying how I compared it to Australian prices. It's definitely cheaper than Australian prices. And I was just talking to John, the owner of Heart of Darkness, just this week, and we always forget how much goes to tax. And he was explaining to me how much of just one beer is consumed by tax. And you're like, wait, what? And I'm sure all you guys who work in the craft beer industry are like, yeah, what the fuck? Like, it's like 30-40% of what us consumers pay at the bar. That's going towards government pockets, which I'm not going to get into that, but it's just a fact of life. So we're at bar 5. This is the Hinge bar, as Misha says. We got 2 more to go. Well, not at bar 5. So it's just been pointed out to me, we are not at bar 5 because that is a very specific type of bar in Saigon, which has 150k free flow. So 150k is how much in? It's basically 10 Aussie dollars. It's $6 US, and it's free flow for about 8 hours. And when I did a YouTube video recently, I was going through Pasteur Street and I said that there were some gully bars, and YouTube translated it as gully balls. So we now call them gully balls, and you can definitely get much cheaper. So we're not in bar 5, but we're in bar number 5. We're gonna have a drink here, maybe have some food, and then we're gonna move on to bar 6, which is Seamus's Win 7 Bridges. Say it in a Scottish accent, everybody. 7 Bridges.
7 Bridges.
We are at bar number 6, which is 7 Bridges. We've ordered some chicken wings. We've ordered some beer, and we're gonna introduce. We're not introduced. That's a stupid thing to say because he's been introduced since the beginning. But we're gonna talk to Seamus. So Seamus, tell us a bit about 7 Bridges. Why is 7 Bridges on this list?
This was thought up of a couple of weeks ago. It was trying to find out kind of what would make a little bit more sense in terms of walking, because the next street down is Malt. So rather than go to there and then backtrack up, it was to here. This is our second location in Saigon. We have 40 taps here. This can vary. 40, yeah, 40. One of the things I always want to try and promote is not just our beers, but it's to promote like craft as a whole within Vietnam. So we have our core range beers. We have our seasonal beers. We have 3 different wines on tap: a red, white, and a rosé. And then we have a variety of guest beers from like just off the top of my head, Belgo, Bizan, Origins, Fuzzy Logic, East West, HOD, Mixtape, Mekong, Bear Hops, Tete, Wildside, Rooster. Like for me, I always want to try and give choice and variety to people when they come in, so that's important. At the end of the day, I find our respective partners will choose where we go to in the evening, so rather than having somebody sat there not happy with the options that they have, for us it's to try and have as much as possible cocktails, mocktails. I don't look at us anymore as a craft beer business. I look at us as an F&B business. A lot of people will come in, not actually have any of our drinks, but eat our food, have a drink from somebody else, and I'm happy about that. It helps. It's a challenging industry. It's trying to think outside the box when it comes to this.
What's your favourite beer that's not a Seven Bridges beer?
I quite like Mekong's Bengal Ambush. They're blonde. There's some fantastic beers from within Vietnam to try and limit it down. Like as we talked about earlier, people talk about Seven Bridges High Van Hayes. It's a fantastic beer. However, I think people become creatures of habit, or they're influenced by what others will say, and they'll choose that. Whereas for myself now, I don't order off our core menu as much as what I used to. I want to try seasonals. I want to try other things. This Belgo Cherry, again, another fantastic beer in my opinion. There's a long list of drinks I enjoy within Vietnam. To try and narrow it down, it's a challenge. I never want to become a creature of habit with this. In terms of beers that I've had from outside of Vietnam, I've had great beers from the UK, I've had great beers from Australia, I've had great beers from Ireland. Again, challenging. This is a new seasonal that we brewed about 3 months ago. This is Choi Oi. It's a nitro Irish stout. So it looks and resembles a very famous stout from Ireland. It's not trying to be a copy of it. It's our take on it. I actually enjoy this quite a lot. It's something. It's easy to drink, even in like the high heat and humidity of Saigon. It's still a pleasant beverage. This is our first beer that we've ever produced on nitro, so it was an experiment for us. Thankfully, it was an experiment that went right. Yeah, it's creamy, it's silky. It's something you can enjoy multiples of them without filling up. No, it's to be honest with that. It's like I drink socially. It's very hard to put. There's some fantastic beers out there, but it's very hard to put away like 8-9% beers in this heat. It has to be fought out. Sang, or brewer, he himself, Stanley, Dwayne, the trio of them, they just do a fantastic job. I'm blessed, and I'm I'm fortunate to be able to have this available.
So we are at the 7th bar. We've made it all the way to Malt. I'm really drunk. I think Adri's pretty drunk. Seamus, you're not that drunk? Wow, Seamus is not that drunk. Misha has left us for the cocktail festival, as has Dave Tinnen and Orica. I think Jack. I think Jack has left because he was too drunk. We've had an awesome day. These are my 7 top bars. We've had so much fun hopping between them all. If you have any questions, let me know. We're going to do another 7 bars soon. Thank you so much for watching this. If you do like it, share it, please. It helps so much. And thank you very much for tuning in. Cheers.